Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Rabinowitz, along with Joey Kaufman here at Ohio Stadium after Ohio State's 77-21 win over Toledo. Most points by the Buckeyes since 2018 against Oregon State. They came second most total yards in Ohio State history. Pretty dominating performance.
They put up a lot of points. I think they scored on their first 7 drives.
Scored touchdowns.
Touchdowns. They got in the end zone the first 7 drives, or was it 8?
7.
7? Okay.
And they punted only because Ryan Day on 4th and 3 from the Toledo 39 said, I'll take my foot off the pedal this time.
Showed some mercy. And
they kept scoring after that.
Yeah, this was, I think, the most complete game we've seen from Ohio State throughout the entire season. I think they put their foot on the gas out of the gate. Bill, as you point out in your game story, Ryan Day elected to receive after winning the coin toss, which is pretty rare for them. Usually when Ohio State gets the ball, they'll defer kickoff and sort of have one card in the back of their pocket and get the ball to start the second half. They were eager to get out there and bring some juice early, as he said.
Yeah, and they did. And, they got Jackson Smith-Njigba back and Julian Fleming back. Julian Fleming had 2 touchdown catches. One was a really nice one, although he might have been bobbling a little bit, but it was still a nice catch.
Counts in stat sheet.
All that matters is it counted. Jackson Smith-Njigba only caught 2 passes, but I think just his presence gives the offense a lift and puts the defense on its heels a little bit. Travion Henderson left the game after scoring a touchdown on the first drive, but Mayan Williams and Dallin Hayden, the freshman, played very well. The offensive line protected great run blocking. Defensively, Daquan Finn, the Toledo quarterback, made some big plays. Jack Sawyer said, got to tip your hat to them, but for the most part, they really shut down Toledo's offense.
Yeah, Jim Knowles had said earlier in the week that they had to be prepared for Daquan Finn, a former Mr. Football in the state of Michigan, for his ability to scramble, to keep plays alive, and that he was not somebody that Toledo was necessarily going to call out designed runs for, but he was just going to be creative and make plays. Well, he certainly did that a couple of times where he would just roll out and heave it downfield. I mean, they scored 1 touchdown where he threw one deep and they caught the ball right toward the goal line and ran over Denzel Burke for a score.
And then he scrambled for, actually might have been a designed run, 23-yard run, just there was nobody on that side of the field for the defense. So yeah, they gave up basically 3 big plays. Other than that, it was pretty lights out. And they didn't run the ball. The running backs didn't run the ball effectively at all, Toledo's. And look, Toledo is a MAC team. Ohio State has never lost to a MAC team, but Toledo's an upper echelon Mid-American Conference team. They're a good team. I mean, by MAC standards, certainly. We've seen far worse teams here that Ohio State did not put away as thoroughly as they did the Rockets.
And we should know Ohio State's defense was without a handful of key guys. Tonight's starters, Josh Proctor, Tanner McAllister, were held out. Looked like they went through the early part of warm-ups, and then when they came out during the final round, they were in street clothes. They did not play. Mike Hall also did not play in the game. He was dressed in uniform. It looked like he was available theoretically if it was a tight game.
Right.
But he hurt his shoulder last week, and I'm guessing that the way Ryan Day mentioned that they held those guys out out of an abundance of caution was the word he used. But when you're playing, I think, a MAC school, you have Big Ten play coming up next week, Wisconsin, especially somebody like Mike Hall. I mean, Wisconsin's a bunch of maulers on the offensive line. You want to make sure a guy like that is healthy.
Yeah, you have to think that Ohio State feels good about this being the tune-up for the Big Ten season. But then, honestly, you look at the Big Ten. Yeah, Wisconsin won big today against New Mexico State, which is not a good program. But you look at some of these other teams in the Big Ten today, it was embarrassing, honestly. I mean, some of the losses, Northwestern, Indiana needed a 51-yard field goal in overtime to beat Western Kentucky. What was the other one? Purdue lost at the last second to Syracuse. Big Ten's not looking as strong as we thought it might at the beginning of the year. Wisconsin, we'll see. I mean, it's always a challenge. The Badgers are always a challenge. But if I'm the rest of the Big Ten, I watched tonight's game and I thought, uh-oh.
Yeah, if we're just doing a quick schedule look ahead on Ohio State after finishing up non-conference play, Wisconsin comes next week, then Rutgers, and at Michigan State. And Michigan State was the one, I think, for us and for a lot of folks, that was the game you circled on your schedule, Ohio State and East Lansing on October 8th. Maybe that's a game that really could give them trouble just because of the talent that Michigan State has on their offensive side of the ball. But they lost a tough one at Washington tonight, where we're losing. Last we checked, but it was a tough one for them. So there aren't a lot of obvious stumbling blocks moving ahead for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, actually, when I watched those afternoon games, I thought, could we get to the Penn State game? Can we get to the Michigan game? Can we just kind of fast forward through? 'Cause I just don't, I mean, yeah, Michigan State's the first road game. It could be interesting. But if Ohio State plays the way they did tonight, I don't think that any Big Ten team, with the possible exception of Michigan, can hang with it.
No, but I think the bigger overarching question for Ohio State is, are they making progress week to week enough where when they eventually get into a college football playoff, if they can get to that point in a season, how will they compete against the Alabamas and the Georgias? I think that is the barometer that they're competing with, and certainly the end of the schedule against Michigan. That's the buildup for them, and I think this week, even though it was against a team they were more than 4 touchdown favorites against, I think they made sufficient strides. The offense was as clean as it looked. The defense, for some takeaways, they had some broken plays, but I think overall, if you're an Ohio State fan, you come away from this one feeling like this was the best 4 quarters together they've had all season, all elements of the game: offense, defense, by air, by land, by sea.
I felt bad for Jesse Merkel, the punter. He didn't get in the game, and then they finally did. The one punt he got,
Good one.
nailed it, 2-yard line. So hats off, Jesse.
He said a great year. He said
it.
a lot inside the 20.
He came from Australia primarily to be the holder. Not a bad job,
good
actually.
gig. Good
not a bad
gig.
job. Anyway, I don't know that we need to belabor this game. 77-21 speaks for itself. Any final comments, Joey?
I think the score, the stats, a lot of it speaks for itself. Ohio State really beat up on Toledo, especially offensively. I think we spent a lot of time in the week thinking maybe this could be a little closer than some of the previous MAC games, but it was a lot like 2019 when Miami, Ohio came in here and they won 76-5. That's was previously the most points Ohio State had scored since Ryan Day took over on a full-time basis in 2019, and now it's the 77 points they scored against Toledo on this night in September.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching.